AITA for being judgmental about our friend's swinger lifestyle. My husband thinks I was rude to his friends over the weekend, but I just felt I was being honest, and they were being inappropriate. My husband and I have been married for 13 years now. We are both in our early 40s and have two wonderful preteen kids. We were college sweethearts, and he is the only person I have been with. We have a lovely life. Last week, one of my husband's childhood friend John and his wife Leah visited us along with their kids. I have known them for a long time, and they visit us every summer, and we take vacations together. Our kids are of the same age and get along well. On Saturday night, after the kids went to bed, Leah and John suggested we go to our hot tub and get drunk. I only drink socially, and I was just sipping some wine, while others were seriously getting wasted. Leah brought up the issue of sex and how they had slowed down a lot when the kids were young, and now again rediscovered their spark as the kids were getting older. John told us that they have also been experimenting with swinger lifestyle and how amazing their experience has been. My husband was drunk and told them that we never lost the spark, and things have been great, while I was just uncomfortably listening to them. Leah asked up if we have ever tried swinging or open relationship, since we both got into a relationship when we were young. My husband had girlfriends before we met me, but I have never been with another man. Leah asked me if I have ever wondered if I missed out on that phase. I told her that I did not, since it was like winning a lottery with my husband, and it would be foolish to regret not buying the wrong tickets. John asked my husband if he has ever thought about swinging or being with someone else. John was telling him about how the experience is amazing and just adds spice to a marriage. My husband was being polite and listening to it intently and asking him questions about how they got into it, how they meet other couples, jealousy issues, etc. Leah finally asked me if I would consider something like swinging, and it just made me very uncomfortable. I wanted to shut down the discussion and told her that I can never imagine another man touching me in that way, and probably would leave my husband if he ever thinks of doing the same. She asked why, and I told her that another man touching me would feel like cheating to me even if my husband was okay with it, and his love is enough for me, that I do not seek attention from other men. That shut Leah up, and John changed the subject quickly, and we carried on. We did not talk about this for the rest of the trip. After they left, my husband thought that I was being judgmental towards Leah and John about their lifestyle. He feels I should have been nicer to them and not equated swinging to cheating or implied that Leah was seeking attention from other men. I stood my ground and told him that I felt uncomfortable with them pushing their lifestyle onto us. Was I being rude to Leah regarding their swinger lifestyle? I feel everyone should mind their own damn business, but I was triggered by John essentially telling my husband to think about sleeping with other women, and Leah implying that I should somehow be less satisfied because I did not sleep around with a lot of guys. Moreover, I also felt my husband should have shut off the subject immediately instead of asking for more information and stories from John. Update 1. Thank you for all the replies. They really helped me gain a lot of different perspectives. I talked to my husband last night, and I cannot believe how much worse things have gotten. I can't believe so many of you could see what I completely overlooked. After the kids went to sleep, I spoke with my husband, Mike. I told him that the situation from the weekend was still bothering me, and I wanted to discuss it. I asked him why he didn't feel angry at Leah for implying that I should feel bad for not sleeping with more men, and why that thought didn't repulse him. He responded that just because we don't agree with someone's lifestyle choices doesn't mean we should look down on their actions. He said that while I was right to shut her down, equating it to cheating or attention-seeking isn't fair to them. He added that I don't know the circumstances that led them to start swinging in the first place, and we shouldn't judge them. I pushed further, and he told me that Leah and John weren't doing well last year, and that John felt Leah was distancing herself. Leah brought up the idea of an open relationship with John, which he initially disagreed with. However, they decided that splitting up wouldn't be good for them financially and would be worse for the kids. John then proposed the idea of swinging so they could go out together and avoid doing anything behind each other's backs. According to Mike, they both seem to have reconnected since then, and John said Leah has been happier and more present in their relationship. Mike also mentioned that Leah was just curious about me because I've never even kissed another man. He admitted he was upset because I rudely shut them down, and he feels John might be hurt because Mike believes John was forced into this lifestyle and because I equated Leah's suggestion to cheating. This got me thinking, so I asked Mike how he knew all of this. He told me that John had been confiding in him about it since last year, but he never told me because it was John and Leah's secret to share, and he didn't know if they were comfortable telling me. I started replaying the events of that night in my head. After the kids went to bed, John, Leah, and Mike were drinking. Mike was trying to get me to try his vodka drink, but I'm a lightweight, and I know my limits, so I stuck to sipping some wine. Leah decided the weather was great, and we all stepped outside onto the patio. Mike started the hot tub, and Leah and John decided to get in, wearing only their underwear. Mike did the same. They all were asking me to do the same, but I kept my t-shirt on. I didn't think much of it since I've seen both of them in swimwear before. That's when they told me they were into swinging. John and Mike were discussing the benefits of swinging, and John was telling Mike how amazing it has been. Meanwhile, Leah was trying to convince me that I should be more curious about sleeping with other men. I think a lot of you were right. They might have been trying to recruit us. What makes it worse is that my husband knew about them and still tried to get me drunk and asked me to undress before getting into the tub. I asked him if he thought they were trying to get us to swing with them. He smiled and said no, but I can easily tell when my husband isn't being truthful, so I kept digging. He then admitted that Leah had asked him about it when they were planning the trip, and he laughed it off because he thought it was a joke. At this point, I was beyond pissed. Leah openly asked my husband about sleeping with him, and he never told me about it. I was playing the perfect host all weekend to a woman who, I seriously doubt it was a joke, asked my husband if he wanted to sleep with her. I was so furious that I slept on the sofa. Mike kept apologizing, saying he didn't want to out Leah and John to me because he thought it was private. However, I genuinely feel Mike's actions were also inappropriate. He tried to get me undressed and drunk in front of these people. I don't know what to do. I think it's safe to say that I'm never going to be around Leah and John again. However, I feel more hurt by Mike and his actions, and am unsure of what I'll do next. Update 2. Thanks for all your messages. I know many of you have been waiting for an update, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to post this. A lot has happened over the past few weeks, and I genuinely need advice on what to do next. After the last post, someone advised me to call John and ask him directly about what was going on. I decided to do that, as I was curious if he knew about Leah's joking suggestion to my husband while planning the trip. I called John in the evening when I knew he'd be driving home. He was surprised to hear from me, but I asked him outright about what happened that night. He told me that he considers me like a sister and would never think of doing such a thing. He assured me I was overreacting and that they were just having fun. He also emphasized that just because they're swingers doesn't mean they don't have boundaries. Friends and co-workers are off limits for them to avoid emotional entanglements. I asked if he knew that Leah had jokingly asked my husband if he wanted to swing while they were planning the trip. John was shocked and told me he had no idea. He said it was extremely inappropriate for her to do that and was also upset that Mike, my husband, didn't tell him about it. John said he would talk to Leah about it that night. I didn't hear from John for a few days, but when I told my husband about the call, he was furious. He said it wasn't my place to tell John about Leah's joke, as it could cause misunderstandings. I apologized, explaining that I suspected John and Leah might be trying to get us to swing, and felt the need to ask John directly. I also mentioned that I was relieved to hear John reassure me that he would never think of me that way. However, my husband seemed nervous over the next few days. Then, one evening, John called me and said he had found a secret account of Leah's on an app called Telegram, which was installed on her laptop, but not her phone. He discovered that Leah had been messaging multiple men, including my husband, on that app. John said he planned to confront Leah that night and wanted to give me a heads up. He also emailed me the chat logs between Leah and my husband, which spanned more than a year. I had no idea Mike had been talking to her for so long. The messages began after a trip we took last spring. Leah had been discussing her plans to open her marriage with Mike, asking for his opinion, and sharing how she felt when John finally agreed. Mike mostly just listened and didn't encourage her or offer advice. After they started swinging, Leah sent some selfies, which were deleted, and Mike asked her where they were going and what they were doing. She would share details about their encounters with other couples, and Mike would respond with a few words here and there. At one point, Leah sent Mike a deleted video, presumably of her and John with another couple, and Mike told her not to send pictures or videos anymore because it made him uncomfortable. However, Leah occasionally messaged him about their encounters, and Mike would respond briefly. When we were planning the trip, Leah asked Mike if we'd be interested in swinging in one of the conversations. Mike told her that I would never be interested and that he couldn't bear to see me with another man. Leah made fun of us, saying she bet I fantasized about other men since I'd only been with him. The whole conversation was Leah trying to convince Mike that I would be open to swinging if given the chance. Although these messages were highly inappropriate, one silver lining was that Mike never said anything inappropriate in return. He never expressed interest in sleeping with other women. As I was reading the messages, Mike walked into the room and started apologizing. John had also called him, and they had a big argument, ending with John dropping the bombshell that he'd sent all the messages to me. Mike told me he had no explanation for his actions and that I had every right to be angry. I kept asking him why he would do this and how I could ever trust him again. Mike explained that during our trip last spring, John, Leah, and Mike were drinking late one night while I went to bed early with the kids. After John went to bed, Leah and Mike were chatting. Leah confided that, although John was a perfect husband, she felt something was missing in her life. They were both drunk and talked about what it would be like to open up their marriages. A few days later, Leah messaged Mike privately, asking him to join Telegram so they could talk more discreetly. She wanted his opinion on how to approach John about opening their marriage and asked for his help in case John overreacted. Mike assured me that he never intended to cheat on me, but was fascinated by Leah and John's new lifestyle and was curious. Leah would share details about their experiences, and Mike found it intriguing. He said he never crossed the line, and when Leah tried to send videos, he shut it down. He also admitted that he knew Leah was trying to test me in the bathtub and was curious about my reaction, as he suspected I might feel the same as Leah but was repressing it. He was relieved to find out I wasn't like Leah. He apologized again and begged me not think of him as a cheater. He knows he crossed many boundaries I would never agree to, but he insists he never thought about cheating on me. He also pleaded with me to consider our kids. I've been struggling with this for the past week and could really use some advice. I think I might be able to forgive Mike for what he did, as he seems genuinely curious and did shut Leah down whenever she tried to cross the line. However, it still feels like a huge betrayal, and I'm not sure if I can ever trust him again. I want my kids to have a stable home and don't want to make any hasty decisions while I'm emotional. Has anyone been in a similar situation, and how did you recover from it?